Hello everyone, welcome to Purpose Built with myself, Mamkele Dial. I just want to express my gratitude for everyone who has subscribed to the channel, for everyone who has shared our videos, for everyone who has commented on our videos, for the encouraging. We've received private messages as well on our social media platforms. I just really want to say thank you guys. One of the reasons why I don't do the normal thing of asking people to subscribe or to comment or to share is because I believe that people generally will, if they feel connected to the content that you're bringing, then they will subscribe. So I don't, that's why it's not a thing for me or for us with Osive. And you're probably asking, where is Osive? So today's episode is kind of laying foundation for the conversations that we're going to have. And we thought that it would be better for us to have this episode where I kind of tell you how Love Unscripted came about, and then we will start having the conversations afterwards. So we're talking Love Unscripted. And yeah, like this is quite a special book. I wrote the book concurrently with Mustard Pieces, but I started it off, I think I was midway through Mustard Pieces. And what got me to actually write the book is that obviously God had said you're going to release 3 books at once, and I didn't know what those books were what those books were going to be. But midway through Mustard Pieces, I realized that there was this thing in me. As I was writing Mustard Pieces, there were things that were relationship kind of things, which I touched on in Mustard Pieces. And I realized how my upbringing, my past experiences kind of shaped my thinking and perspective in terms of who I am and how I showed up in relationships, right? And because I had then taken the decision to be celibate, which came about in 2015, when I accepted my calling, I realized kind of the shift that was there between the person who was a church girl, and obviously, like I could quote scripture, I could speak the word, I could pray the house down, but my relationship with God was not rock solid. And it wasn't rock solid because obviously I dabble here and there in sin type of thing now. And so that fluidity then kind of changed when I accepted my calling and when I then decided that I am going to be celibate. So in being celibate, one of the things that I learned is that there are things that the word teaches us, which are things that are in the black and white. Do not have sex. Obviously, God would say don't have sex because it's got implications. But I think what I learned or what I was struggling with was I don't know what the implications are when I make sex a thing. Né? So when I became celibate, one of the things that I then learned was that, okay, the way I viewed love, and I'm not just talking love in intimate relationships, but love as a principle, was very different to what true, pure love is. And why do I say that? Love is, like we're told, love is kind, love is patient, it doesn't boast. One of the things I realized was that my interpretation of love was giving of myself physically without allowing for a person to get to know me and for me to get to know that person. Né? So sex would be probably the second thing on the list before I actually get to know a person. And it would be a way of me showing that I am committed to a person and I am in love with that person. And I think what I then learned as I started working in celibacy was that I was using sex as a definer of who I am. So my identity was very much linked to me giving off myself physically. And now being celibate then gave me a chance to pause and to reflect on, actually, who is uSmamkele? Do the people who you've been with actually know you, you know? What are the parts of you that you've hidden to be accepted, to feel like you belong? You know, how much of yourself have you given off just so that a person may feel that they have you? And these are difficult things to ask yourself, né? It's difficult things to reflect on, but it was things that were necessary for me to engage on and for me to unlearn and detach myself from, because I realized that the brokenness that was not mended from my childhood molded the way I thought and the way I perceived myself and other people. And so how I showed up in relationships was actually out of that little girl who was broken. Né? And unfortunately for me, because sex was introduced to me at a very young age, it literally became the way I identified who uSmamkele is. And therefore, for me to belong, for me to feel like I'm showing a person that I love them, that was my way of saying, okay, you have me. Né? Celibacy showed me flames, but it also allowed for me to view myself from the eye that God views me from, which is an eye of, you are not broken to the point of belonging to a rubbish bin. I can still use you. Just allow me to do the work. And that's basically how Love Unscripted was birthed. And one of the things that I wanted the book to do was firstly to show people that, and this is why Masterpieces is important for you to understand Love Unscripted. What I learned was, if you have issues that are unresolved, whether those issues are from childhood, teenage years, or decisions that you've made in your adulthood, if you have issues that are unresolved, those issues play out in how you show up in different relationships. Né? And so you will find that, for example, as a person, Shambi, you don't know how to actually express your needs. And that is because of something that is connected to your childhood, where you were told that your voice is not important. And then you made that thing a thing that kind of rules your life, that I will never say anything. And therefore, you come into a relationship and you are now expecting for a person to read in between your emotions and your reactions and kind of read in between the lines, where you have not explicitly expressed that this is how I want you to love me and this is what I need from you, type of thing. And so I wrote the book to open dialogue, and to open dialogue, especially amongst the Christian community, because amongst all sins, sex has been kind of placed at the pinnacle of, like, it is the greatest type of thing. Né? And I'm by no means saying that sex is not a sin, but I think one of the things that we don't understand is the spirituality of sex, and how giving of yourself, whether you're a woman or a male, how giving of yourself to the wrong people literally affects your entire life, and how you will then engage with people. And so, the book is literally about opening dialogue and just being true and honest in terms of our experiences. And so obviously, when Osive joins me next week, we'll kind of tackle different topics that I speak about in the book and kind of connect those to how they've played out in our relationship. And we'll try and do that in the most open way possible so that you guys can literally see, the physical manifestations of what we think is just sex truly just affects everything. So I'm looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have. The conversations are literally unscripted. Like, they are going to be as open as possible, as real as possible, as raw as possible. And we're just going to also have fun with it. I've been looking forward to talking about the book because it's a bit lighter, obviously, than Mustard Pieces. But I think it is about time that we have these conversations, that we get to another level of understanding ourselves and ourselves as spiritual beings more than physical people who are literally just walking around and fumbling and trying to make sense of the world. And I think that, if generations before us could have been open about what their experiences have been, it would have made it easier also for some of us to make decisions based on, principles that we know have applied to people that we see in real life. And unfortunately, we have a lot of leaders, pastors, people who are just in leadership positions who have not gotten to a point of being open about what their experience is. So you have someone preaching, live in purity, but they don't even understand what living in purity is because they didn't live in purity. And then it's an expectation on you, but they don't even know what that expectation is. So then you find in the banner, you're just told, just don't have sex. You ask why? Don't argue with the word. And what I've discovered, guys, is that God is not like, God doesn't have self-esteem issues. God doesn't have, inferiority complex issues. God is not scared of your questions. If you want to question God, He is open to a conversation. He's open to teaching you, but it requires you for you to be open and say, I want to learn more about this part of, my life. I want you to open me up to what you want my life to look like. And so Utika is waiting on us to open up and say, God, we know that this way has not served us. Show us the way to go. And so, it's going to be a beautiful time we're going to have. And I hope that you guys will also kind of take the courage to open up these conversations amongst your circles, amongst your friends, with your parents, with your leaders, with, whatever youth groups you're in. As parents, I hope it will give you the courage to open up the conversation with your children as well, because I know for sure, and I've said this before, that the mistakes that I believe my mom made, that had she been open with me on those mistakes and experiences, I wouldn't have gone into particular things, ne? Because I realized probably after doing certain things that this might have been what she experienced at this age, ne? But had there been open dialogue, those would have been things that I would have seen at first hand that, no man, I've had a conversation with my mother about this, and then I make a decision to step away. Or I make a conscious decision to say I'm going to do it, but at least I know what the implications are going to be. And so I really want these Love Unscripted conversations to teach us how to relate with ourselves and to love ourselves wholeheartedly before we can give ourselves off to other people. And what the impact is when you are a person who isn't whole and waiting for someone you're in a relationship with to fill you up, because when you were taught or you thought that a relationship is supposed to complete you, and then you get into that relationship and realize that actually relationships don't fill you up. In fact, they actually reveal to you the emptiness that you have, or reveal to you the woundedness that you carry, and they bring those parts of you that are not healed to the surface. And so I really want these conversations to give you, a different perspective to what love is, ne? And to what sexual relations should not should, but to what the implication of kind of engaging in sex when you are not aware of what the impact is on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. And I especially want younger people to, come back to these videos and these conversations and learn so that they make better decisions and informative decisions before they can actually make the mistakes that we have made along the way. Because I think it's really important that, we build the generations that come after us. And I think that we would be doing justice to what God has called us for as a generation, to actually give the truth and what we have learned, and not live our lives, in secret and say, oh, well, this is my personal journey, and so I don't want to impose. We are by no means imposing. In every one of my videos, it's nothing about imposing what my way of life is, but I have learned, because I've had the privilege of speaking to a lot of people, I've learned that some people feel that had they known certain truths, there are certain things that they would have not done. And so it is my experience, it is going to be Siva and I's experiences, but I hope that it will be experiences that people will take a lesson or two and allow for themselves to learn and evolve and learn, and become certain things as we become that which God desires for us to be. Does that make me a person who knows it all? No. I don't know it all, guys. I am just very open to talking about what my journey has been, and, and speak that in the most truthful way possible. So I don't know it all, and trust you me, I am still in a process of becoming. I think that the lessons that I've learned during my celibacy journey helped me greatly in terms of being able to relationship well, with other people, and to stand for my truth and to get to know myself way better. In fact, to get to know myself, because I actually feel that everything that I thought I knew about myself before I walked the celibacy journey kind of is like, your eyes is, I had not even scratched the surface. And also just to make people aware that self-awareness does not just come. It comes with a lot of work, which requires a lot of reflection, a lot of openness, a lot of healing, and, going to therapy, going to counseling, seeking guidance from other people, just allowing for yourself to learn in different ways so that you blossom, as the person that you're supposed to be. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy the conversations, and I hope that you guys will engage us with your questions and kind of also tell us what your experiences have been. And yeah, so until the next one, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.